Hello everyone, how's everybody doing? This is Life Coach Catalyst Tammy Ward coming at you. I hope everybody's having a great day. And this is just a moment in time where I would like to come in here and awaken your conscience and have you see something that possibly you haven't seen before or thought about before. And it begins to transform and transition that mindset and that thinking that you have into living your best life. So, hello, how's it going? There are so many things that I've got to break down today, and basically we're going to be chatting about of how you cannot escape past experiences, but how you can make peace with them. And from my experience, this morning I had to be a part of a veterans call about my PTSD and about how the VA can further help me receive treatment that I need from past traumas. And so I wanted to go into this and just share with you my experience and share with you what I went through, and then share with you how I took in the moment, but I didn't allow it to fully affect me. So full disclosure right now, I have all my puppies in the room, so there might be some barking happening. So if there is, we'll just kind of politely give them love and then come back to each other. And so here we go. I wrote some things down, so I may look at my notes, and that's okay too. And so I want to talk about that, is how we can't escape past experiences, but how we can make peace with them. So on the call with my veterans representative this morning, obviously they have to go through the rigmarole of asking you questions about how you're doing, how your trauma is doing, how you're handling it, how you're progressing, how it's still stagnant, whatever. And it never fails. At any time I'm having these appointments, I always seem to get extremely emotional and and these feelings just pop in, because what am I having to do, right? I'm having to relive these past experiences that created this trauma and created these emotions and created these feelings. And so here I am trying to answer this how do I feel about this? Am I still having night terrors? Am I still unable to walk into a grocery store? All these things. And it's yes, these things are still happening. Yes, these are still hiccups in my life. Yes, this is still a trauma. Yes, I'm still processing, but I'm working through. And so as I'm having to answer these questions, I'm taking back at a moment and the thinking of, well, shit, I'm not getting any better. I'm what is going on? I'm still struggling here. I'm still having a hard ass time. And I allowed the emotions to come in. I allowed the feelings to come in. I allowed them to embrace me. And I'm crying. I'm getting anxious. I'm getting angry. I'm starting to rub my hands. I'm starting to do all these little tricks of that I used to do. And the sense of oh my gosh, I am so uncomfortable. And that's what it was. I was uncomfortable talking about my trauma and my PTSD, because this is the thing. When we have past experiences, right? Whether it be anything, childhood trauma, sexual harassment, divorce, breakup, loss of love, grief, military experiences, fear of, your children moving out, or fear of upsetting your children or raising children, whichever one that may be. And just overall losing a job to just anything. Anything can cause trauma, and anything can cause PTSD, right? It's post-traumatic stress syndrome. So it's anything that post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's anything that comes up that can possibly put stress upon your body, put stress upon your thoughts, put stress upon your emotions, put stress upon yourself. Elevate the heart rate, start becoming anxious, and all of that. So when we go through these moments, just as I did with talking to my VA rep, I feel it coming on. I feel it happening. I feel me getting emotional. I feel like I just need to break down, because, basically we just need to talk to people, right? We just need to be able to chat with people about the things that are happening in our lives. And when I say those people, I mean those people that we could trust. Those people, whether it be a life coach, a therapist, whether it be, your sister from another mister, however it may be. It's about finding the people that will be able to listen and be able to hear you, right? I mean, that's first and foremost. And sometimes that's ourselves for just a little bit amount of time. Sometimes for me, I need to be able to go through my process before I can talk with someone, just to make sure that like what I'm feeling is exactly where it's meant to be. And so, yes, Coach Tammy, how do I get there? I'm so glad you asked. So the number one thing that I've learned from my experiences and as well as some of my clients is that it's about acceptance first. Accepting the moment as is in this moment, right? Like with my VA rep, I was having a moment. I was having a moment from answering these questions and I was being triggered. And so all these things were coming up and all these thoughts and all these memories and all these flashbacks were just boom, now in front of my face, right? And so when we have these past experiences, whatever they may be for you, that are still causing hurt and pain and emotions and feelings to just rise up to the top of us, we have to accept that moment. We have to somehow break that fine line and say, okay, this is just a moment, right? It doesn't mean that you're accepting what has happened. It doesn't mean that you're accepting the experience. It doesn't mean you're accepting the trauma. It doesn't mean that you're accepting the reality of what has happened. All it is that you're just simply accepting the moment that you're in right now. And when we do that, once we accept that, we then begin to understand that we can welcome the emotions, we can welcome the feelings, because we're sort of separating the emotion and the feelings from that past experience. Because I think what most people don't realize is that whenever they have new experiences, right? And emotions and feelings are coming up and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, see, this always happens to me. This always happens. What you're not realizing in that moment is that you're utilizing, from past experiences, we attach ourselves, these emotions and feelings automatically attach to that past experience. And so in the present experience, if we're still feeling those emotions, we're taking in that past experience and we're using it all together. And that's why I'm asking you to find ways to just be in the moment. Don't use past experiences. Just be in the moment you're in right now. So, for example, during my VA call this morning, whenever I was going through all those triggers and having these emotions come up, I was reliving those past experiences instead of being present in the moment. And it took me a minute. It took me a minute to come back circle and be like, okay, this is just a present moment. I'm not being harmed. I'm not being in that moment I was. I'm not being abused. I'm not in that same situation. I'm in this moment right now. And these are the emotions and feelings that I'm having. So when we talk about acceptance, what does it simply mean to accept that you're having emotions and feelings come up from past experience? And about how to make peace with that. And so when we're making peace with those traumas that we've had and with those experiences we have, the peace is the energy that we give it, right? And I know a lot of people are just like, oh my gosh, here we go again, in the sense of, it's uncomfortable to make peace. It is. It's extremely uncomfortable to make peace with things. I get it. I trust. I've been there, right? I'm still there sometimes today, But energy is about peace, right? It's about understanding that you're accepting the moment and you're okay with it, instead of allowing it to continue to be a struggle, instead of allowing it to continue to be an issue. You are shifting your energy into diving into those emotions and diving into those feelings and diving back into that trauma. You're just making peace with it and saying, okay, I know you're here. I accept that you're here, but there's no reason for me to go back in time. There's no reason for me to go back and live that. Because you see, the number one thing is our brain, the mechanics of our brain wants to go back. The mechanics of our brain wants to anticipate the next moment, the next thing, right? And so whenever these traumas and these past experiences come up and our brain says, oh, You're thinking about that trauma. Okay, well, this is what's next. Let me go into protecting mode. Let me protect you from feeling the trauma. And so it's going to go into fight or flight, right? It's going to go into protection of what's happening. It's going to go, the mechanics of your brain is just simply going to go, it's going to anticipate this is what's next, and this is how you're going to get through it. So it doesn't even, the mechanics doesn't even think about peace. The mechanics doesn't even think about energy. The mechanics in your brain doesn't even think about what you need to do to be able to understand you're going through a moment. Because what it says is like, okay, this is a trauma. You felt this trauma. This is what you've done. You shut down. You avoid. You become depressed. You talk about your worth and your self-doubt and everything in between, right? And so your brain will go there. Your brain will automatically go there. I need to protect you. So let me get you into the avoidance area. Let me go into the forget about it. It's okay. You're okay. Don't ever, whatever. Don't fix it. Don't do anything. But by doing that, by allowing your mechanics in your brain to just anticipate what's going to be next, you're going to stay in the same cycle of that trauma. You're going to stay right back where you were. And so by shifting that mindset of making peace with it, your brain's like, wait a second. Wait, what? You want to go through this trauma and you want to be happy about it? I don't understand. Not computing, right? Like our brain will go through that. Our brain will do that. And so we have to be able to shift our thoughts and shift our mindset and shift our brain to, instead of anticipating what's going on, to be able to just be like, okay, I can make peace with this. And when I talk about energy, I mean, because you begin to feel that. You begin to feel somewhere in your body, whether, for me, it's in my throat. For me, when something happens, I begin to like, ugh. If energy is being shifted, I feel it in my throat. A lot of people might feel it in their heart or their guts or their head, wherever you feel it. But that is the moment to just take pause and just feel it. You're having a trauma experience. You're having a past experience moment. Breathe through it. Let your brain know that you're going to be at peace with it. You've got to tell your brain. So that way the mechanics of the brain will slow down. Your energy will slow down. You'll be able to focus on the area of your body where you feel that anxiety, that nervousness, that whatever. You go to that part of your body and you just give it love and you give it peace and you give it understanding. And, that's how you do it. Because in all honesty, we're not going to be able to escape from our past experiences. It's embedded. It's in our brain. It's just there. The trauma is always going to be there. The past experiences are always going to be there. But you can dissipate them. You can say, wait a second, you're not in control anymore. I am in control. And so by you being in control and you being in that present moment and you making peace with it, that is personal growth. That is growing. Because look, personal growth is constant, right? It's constant because there's too many variants out there in the world. There's you, there's other people, there's society, there's social media, there's triggers, there's everything, right? You're not going to escape it. And I don't want you to escape it. You don't need to escape it. You don't need to escape anything that you've ever experienced. What you need to do is find the way to make peace with it. Find the way, kind of like I described before, to be able to allow and offer these experiences to be there, but yet you take lead on them. Instead of, what's that phrase go that says are you going to let the day run you or are you going to run the day? And that's the same concept. And that is true personal growth. Because yes, after my experience with my VA, after, I was crying with the therapist I was talking with, I was getting upset with myself. These past experiences were flooding through because I was having to do the work and do avoidance therapy, which I would love to talk to anybody about avoidance therapy. DM me if you want to learn more. it is something that I utilize on a daily basis, and that has helped me through my personal experience, my personal development, and my growth as well. So please DM me if you would like to learn more. But the thing about it is that I lost track on there. I started thinking about avoidance therapy. Oh, this is where I was. So during my appointment with my VA therapist, I struggled. All these past experiences were coming up. And I walked outside and I looked at my wife, and she could just automatically could tell that I was just like, that was a lot, right? Like I'm still got tears. I looked at her and I was just like, that was a lot. I need some love, right? So in that moment, instead of allowing the past experiences and the triggers and the trauma to like nail me down and avoid life, I opened the door and I asked for help. And she immediately came upstairs, gave me a hug, and actually gave me the thoughts about how you can't escape experiences, but you can make peace with them. And she showed me all the work that I've been doing anyway. She informed me of all the work that I've been working on to get through my traumas over these past decades. And I think having that accountability and having that person there is a good way to help us remember that, yeah, this is, we're just keep at it, just keep going, just keep moving forward. You know, I mean, there's nothing better in life. And that comes from any trauma that you may have experienced. That comes from any moments that you may have experienced. I know for me, I'm wanting to make my podcast, which is Embrace Life Boldly with Coach Tammy Ward, on any podcast thing you have, whether it be Spotify, Apple, whatever. Find me there. Because you can find more things that I talk about just like this, in the sense of like things that we go through for personal growth and the energies that we feel when it's happening. And so, you know, when we're able to recognize our trauma and we go through our codependencies of those, and like how we used to get by, right? How we used to do things. And some of us are still there. I mean, some of us still are in that stuck cycle of like, oh my gosh, how do I understand that this is a past experience? How do I understand this is a trauma? And how do I not put it in my present day moment? You know, again, DM me. I can help you with that. You know, and I think the number one thing is just realizing, just like we talked about, is about acceptance, and it's about understanding, and it's about utilizing your trauma to move you forward in life, and instead of still staying stagnant. And so making peace with all those past experiences that we have done. And look, I know it's hard, because I'm telling you, I go through it on a daily. My traumas are real. My childhood abuse, my abandonments, my emancipation, my military career, my combat, all of it's real. I mean, it's still real, and it's still there, and they all come flooding back sometimes. But it's about utilizing that avoidance therapy, which again, if you would love more about that or love to hear about that, DM me, we'll talk about it. And it's about utilizing that to be able to make peace with where you're at in that moment, in the moment you're in. Because again, it's just a moment, right? It's just a moment. And if you're able to work through it in that moment, and I know a lot of us get busy, right? I mean, there's so many times where sometimes it's hard to process when you got to go from one thing to one thing to one thing, one Zoom meeting after another, right? Or one homeschooling moment after another, or just whatever it may be for you. But if you are unable, like you must, when it comes to personal growth, the work works. Trust me. Go to my website at www.coach-tammy.com, and you'll see in there, testimonies from my clients that it will show you that, like, look, life is busy, no doubt about it. But if you are unable to take 1 minute or 2 minutes to like just breathe for a second and get back in tuned with your energy and with yourself and grounding, then you're not ready yet. Right? But if you are ready, again, DM me. Let's get started. And if you are ready, go back to this video, re-watch it, re-listen to it, so that way I just gave you some tools about what you can do to make peace with your past experiences. And that's it. You sit calmly, you sit calmly, you feel in your body where it's happening, you feel in your body where your energy's at, you feel in your body where whatever is happening, you feel it. Again, mine's in my throat, some people's other places. And then you just listen. You just listen. You ask yourself those questions like, I'm in my present moment. I know my brain wants to anticipate things. I know my brain wants to go back to that trauma. I know my brain wants to go to fight or flight, but I don't need to go there. What I need is love and peace. What I need is be able to make peace, understanding that this is a past experience. It was outside of my control. And if it was inside my control and I didn't do it very well, or I didn't handle it very well, what you did is you need to accept that you handle it in the best way you could in that moment. So acceptance. And so that's what's up. And look, again, if you guys want to work a little bit more on that, DM me. Let's get you started. Let's get you started on a pathway of being able to see your past experiences, see what emotions and feelings come up, see where it's leading you, see where it can take you, and then stop it in its tracks. Stop it in its tracks to be able to grow and accept and live the best life you can live. Because you can. Trust me. And I know people say all the time, if I can do it, you can do it. But what I'm saying, if I can do it, all my clients can do it. All the groups that I coach can do it. I know you can do it because we all have the ability to be able to shift our mindset. We all have the ability to shift the way we feel. We all have the ability to shift the energy that's coming through and the energy that we're sending out. And I can help you with that. So again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching, listening. If you loved it, share it, include people in, and take a look at in the comments. I'm going to post in there my Tammy's Tidbits, which is a weekly weekly email that I send out to other people, letting them, just giving you a little bit of this, and then come back here on Mondays because I'll be right here doing my same thing. And as always, you can always DM me and we can chat about getting you where you want to go in life, in whatever direction that looks like for you. And until next time, keep loving, keep growing, and keep embracing life boldly.